His frightening form is a metal cage for primal, burning forces of chaos, giving him an appearance of a living furnace. He is immensely powerful, commanding mystic entropic arts, and when at full strength, he can unmake creation at his focused will. He is rarely defeated, at best he is contained, where he waits with eternal patience for the chance to unleash his dark powers once again. His name is the Fallen. This is his origin story. What's up, Transformers enthusiasts? My name is RBG and welcome to my video segment, Transformers Movie Universe History. In a previous episode, I did a video covering the origins of the legendary warrior thought to have been lost long ago, Sentinel Prime. That video garnered generally positive praises and is still growing in views, so if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. As I mentioned in all my videos, that I myself am aware of all the hate the Bayformers receive and have to agree that most of it is warranted. But I want to take you guys on a journey and show you some of the positives this universe has to offer, because if we're going to be honest, there are a lot of characters who don't get their just due. Just a heads up, if you haven't seen the movies or read the comic book material used in this video, it will come off a bit spoilerish, so be advised. But before we dive into today's origin video, and since we're on the topic of robotic beings, I highly recommend you check out this awesome mobile game called War Robots. War Robots is a free-to-play action-packed tactical multiplayer with 6v6 team battles in real time. Unleash your insatiable appetite for destruction with over 90 million players who've already installed the game and are ready to be destroyed at your hands. You can do so by choosing from a big variety of robots and weapons with many possible combinations to create the ultimate war machine to fit your playstyle. These are the most beautiful graphics you're ever going to see on a mobile device, and the developers are constantly providing the players with updates. As a matter of fact, in July we got 2 new weapons and brand new designs for an old robot. And if you install the game right now, you'll get a huge starter pack containing 1 GI pattern robot plus a unique skin to pip it out. It's an extremely versatile robot that's fit for combat at any range. You also get a full set of weapons and 100 gold and 400,000 silver to gain the advantage. So come and join me and let's have a blast on the battlefield. The links will be at the very top of the description. In today's episode, we'll be uncovering the origins of the first Decepticon, the Fallen. He's one of my favorite Transformers throughout the entire Bayformers canon and arguably one of the most powerful. The Fallen is probably the most biblical character in ET mythos because he's directly tied to the overall origin of Transformers in general. If you think about it, he single-handedly aided in molding not only the history of Cybertron, but also the history of Earth as well. Because the original Primes were essentially the overseers of the cosmos who laid down the guidelines of which planets to invade and which ones would remain intact. But the Fallen, formerly known as Megatronus, was the first one to set himself apart from his brothers and question the honorable mythology of the autonomous organisms, creating the 2 Transformers groups we know today. It's kind of befuddling that he was used in such an abysmal film that his name will forever be tied to, because this guy had so much more to give, and the IDW comics have demonstrated this time and time again through its many iterations of the character. He's a very complex character that I don't think a lot of fans appreciate, and his design in TF2 was one of my favorites. The way the red light exuded from his skeletal looking body made it look like he was filled with volcanic rage. Not to mention that his head design looks a lot like the Decepticon symbol. Don't know if those design choices were intentional, but if it was, I had to say it's freaking awesome. But with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into this origin story. For my references, I'll be using the Tales of the Fallen and Defiance issues. I'll also be using the Foundation comics to flesh out some of the smaller details. A long time ago, the Allspark created 13 beings, the first Cybertronians, who had the ability to move between dimensions. The dynasty ruled Cybertron and protected the Allspark, replenishing it with the energy harvested from stars. However, the dynasty of Primes was also benevolent, believing that all life was sacred and refused to harvest stars without worlds inhabited by sentient races. The one who would become the Fallen began to hear the Allspark speak to him. It anointed him its chosen one, granted him an armada of lesser Transformers, and sent him abroad to find sons for harvesting, all while forbidding him to speak to his brother Primes, telling him that one day he would need to stand alone. To aid the dynasty of Primes in their quest, the Allspark created for them a race of workers that had a power of their own, the ability to transform their bodies into new forms. Some, called Seekers, could change into interstellar crafts that could locate stars for them, the energies of which would then be harvested by the Allspark by massive devices built by other workers. But the dynasty tempered their search with the rule of sparing stars with inhabited worlds.
Brother Primes, I fear we have reached the threshold most grave,
said one of the Primes out of concern.
The evolution of this sphere ebbs more than it flows, its structural requirements growing exponentially with each new level of complexity. To complete Cybertron's formative phase, we must push even further outwards. But if we are not judicious in our search for stars of harvestable nature, other forms of life could pay the ultimate price. We take so much from the universe already. Here, now, I entreat you a line must be drawn.
Before the Prime can finish, another one of his brothers interjects.
Surely it is our divine right.
Brother, it is not your allotted time.
No, hear me out. We are the children of Primus, the inheritors of the universal spoils. We are neither bound by morality, nor burdened by accountability. We simply serve the will of the Allspark, and the will of the Allspark is to feed transformation.
Agreed,
said another noble Prime.
but not at any cost. I say we take an oath. Henceforth, though our quest is ongoing, perhaps eternal, we shall stop short of harvesting a star that has suckled new life in any shape or form.
And to that oath, all the Primes agreed. They wouldn't destroy the stars from systems with life. But the Fallen believed that the Dynasty's compassion would ultimately doom Cybertron to its inevitable extinction. As he sought a way to fix this problem, the Fallen came to think evil thoughts. What if there were no other Primes to share the Allspark with? What if its powers was his all alone? He began to court some Transformers to his side. Jetfire, the Fallen's most trusted and capable seeker, began to unwittingly harvest the stars of inhabited star systems. The two would scan a system together, but the Fallen would report that his search areas were devoid of life.
The harvester has been activated, Master.
Very good. Your abilities are second to none, Jetfire. Your loyalty is unquestionable.
It is, Master. I serve the Dynasty.
Rise, my servants. We must report back to the Dynasty. After that, we shall discuss your next destination.
Next destination? You have one already determined.
Yes, I have located a suitable host planet.
Jetfire stops in concern and asks,
But how? How are you able to locate a planet?
Your questioning is unwarranted, Jetfire. Yet your courage in asking is admirable. You stand before Prime and seek answers, and it is from me, not the Dynasty, that shall learn the truth.
The truth, Master Prime?
The only truth, and the only way to allow this planet to flourish. The Dynasty has betrayed Cybertron. They have steered us on a path of inevitable extinction. I feel it is my duty to finally intervene, to take control of this situation before it destroys us all.
What situation? I'm confused, Master. You speak as if the Dynasty has turned against our home.
You serve the Dynasty, Jetfire, but the Dynasty no longer serves Cybertron. Show no fear of what they say, Jetfire. Soon you will learn of their misguided vision.
The two make their way into the chambers of the Dynasty of Primes.
I am here, brothers. My seeker has finished his mission.
And in doing so, he has committed a most heinous act. An act that goes against our laws, brother. An act that cannot go unpunished,
replied one of the Fallen members as they leered at the Fallen from their dimensional sarcophagus. Jetfire gives the Fallen a puzzled look and says,
Master.
But the Fallen quickly cuts him off.
Silence! Prepare for the truth, Jetfire.
He turns his attention back to his brothers and arrogantly says,
The deed has been done, and the results were remarkable. How dare you criticize the mission of my seeker?
The Dynasties pulled the Fallen and Jetfire into their dimensional chambers.
Your seeker? What is this nonsense you speak, brother?
This nonsense is about Cybertron, about our future, about how the power of that.
Before the Fallen could finish his sentence, one of the brothers says,
The murder of innocent life, brother? No power was gained from your decision. Only sorrow.
Sorrow? The planet Star gave us enough energy to live for a millennia. How is the sacrifice of a life-bearing planet of any significance now?
Do not speak with such disrespect, brother,
said one of the Primes.
Arrogance, greed, defiance. Those are what define you. Recant your actions and adjust the wrongs you have committed.
As his brothers ganged up on him, the Fallen stood his ground.
You must realize my actions were for the survival of this planet.
We do not destroy life-supporting stars. This goes against our laws.
But the power...
The power can be obtained elsewhere.
Over time, yes, but this power is instant, immediate, and pure.
And it is wrong. We are done here, brother. Do not make this mistake again, or there shall be severe consequences. From this moment on, a full Congress of the Dynasty must proceed the activation of any star harvester.
And so the Fallen's objections were overruled yet again. He complied with his brethren, saying,
"There will be no more mistakes, I can assure you. Rise, Jetfire."
Jetfire left the meeting confused.
What did I do, Master? I checked the other planets for life and found nothing, and none on the planet you explored.
I was wrong. You were merely following orders, but the dynasty is misguided.
Suggested the Fallen.
If they are to allow our planet to die, then somebody should stop them. Don't you think, Jetfire?
I suppose. But who would think of such a thing? Why would the dynasty go against Cybertron?
For their own selfish reasons. They wish to take the power for themselves and not share it. Someone would need to stop them in case their power was too great, and I know just where to start,
said the Fallen as he began hovering in the air.
Handpicked from our construction drones and hidden from the dynasty, the time has come. Awaken my Decepticons.
Jetfire was left confused by this new name, but was informed that this group was the future of Cybertron, and there is a place in it for him. In the meantime, the Fallen attempted to build a star harvester on his own, powered by a counterfeit matrix of leadership he had constructed. However, it was unstable and resulted in an explosion that infused the Fallen with power he had never known. He now burned with a dark, unimaginable power from within. He would continue his path of destruction by traveling from world to world, killing scores of organisms and assimilating their technology, and leaving the dry husk of their planet in his wake. He evolved, and during his ascension he planned for the eventual battle with his brothers.
He's gone too far.
Broken the covenant.
Tarnished the glory of the Allspark. Shamed the Prime Dynasty.
He shall be disavowed, cast out from Zenith to Nadir. Fallen.
As the Fallen's new faction neared their completion of the Star Harvester, he began wiping out the local inhabitants.
Such a powerful intellect buried within such a fragile shell. Pity they have long to live on this planet,
says the Fallen as the lifeless earthling lies in the palm of his hand.
But Master, this goes against our laws. I can't let this happen again.
Really, Jetfire? And how will you stop me? The dynasty shall fall. I have prepared for this. Their only chance is to face me on this planet or remain in limbo for eternity. Either way, I win.
Not if I stop you, you don't.
You, a mere seeker. I'm a Prime.
And the Fallen blasts Jetfire without warning. As the Seeker falls to his knees, the Constructicons begin to huddle around him.
My loyal minions shall teach you the price of subversion.
Just as they were about to gang up on the traitor, one of the Primes teleports through a space bridge.
Stop, brother. This ends now.
But he fell right into the Fallen's trap. Since the last time they met, he was so much more than they were. The Fallen was able to grab weapons from his stockpile through personal dimension portals.
At last. But first, let the underlings play elsewhere.
The Fallen warps Jetfire and his underlings away as he faces off with his brothers alone.
Explain his demeaning and shameful show of force.
The Fallen slowly pulls out weapons from his personal dimensional portals and says,
Show of force? That, my brothers, was a preamble, an overture to a concerto of carnage.
And commences to slash and blast away at his former brethren.
I think we can dispense with the preliminaries and proceed to the main event,
he says as he proceeds swapping out his weapons for even deadlier ones.
This is not our way. Stop this madness and open dialogue before...
Talk! We are long past that.
Then it seems we have no choice but to neutralize your threat,
while a suitable containment sphere is prepared. The battle between the Fallen and the other Primes was costly. They did not expect the Fallen to have so much power, and one by one they fell by his wretched hand. He had expanded his consciousness, absorbed the mental mass of hive intelligence 70 trillion strong, probed the neural functions of creatures that swim in unrefined thought, and one by one he murdered his brothers until there was only one Prime left to oppose him.
You are the last.
So much rage. If you do indeed represent the future of our race, I fear for us, for the whole universe.
With one last desperate gamble, the final Prime fled, and he and the Fallen warped from location to location.
Teleportation, brother. There is nowhere you can go that I cannot follow.
As he lands at yet another location, the Fallen notices he's standing in the remains of his minions.
My Constructicons, is this what you brought me here to see? Do you think my plans will be derailed by the loss of a few drones? You underestimate me, and you test my patience.
The last Prime begins creating yet another space bridge.
Running again? You're pathetic and weak.
I'm not the one running low on power from teleportation. While we were jumping around, I was gathering the sum total of the dynasty, the entirety of their life force, to banish you forever.
You can't. Not this. Not like this.
The Fallen was sent through his sarcophagus and trapped in another dimension, where he crashed into a desolate landscape.
This is not the end. I have come too far, tasted true omnipotence. One day, I shall have my revenge.
Knowledge of this was lost through the ages, and the dynasty of Primes became little more than a myth. Thousands of years later, however, the Fallen sarcophagus was unearthed on modern-day Cybertron and brought to the quarters of the planet's military leader, Megatron. There, sensing the fury and resentment, the Fallen established contact with Megatron, filling him with a new resolve to destroy those who sought out the Allspark. In the aftermath of Megatron's ruthless battle against a band of aliens seeking the Allspark, the Fallen further counseled him to seize control of Cybertron.
Master! Excellent Megatron. Now, prepare for my return. Yes, but how? How can I help you, my master? To combat those who will stand against us, you must expand your army. Use your strength to gain control of this planet, while everything else will be mine.
But simply taking the planet would not be enough. The Fallen also ordered Megatron to build a space cruiser to seek out the Matrix, which he said was a prerequisite to his return. As the ship's construction came to an end, the Fallen told Megatron the story of his origin and his plans regarding the Harvester on Earth. He ordered Megatron to put his sarcophagus on the ship and then stay behind to fight Optimus' forces and safeguard the Allspark. Soundwave and a majority of the Decepticon soldiers crewed the ship. Meanwhile on Cybertron, civil war raged between Optimus' Autobots and Megatron's Decepticons. A war which eventually led to the Allspark being launched into the far reaches of space. And that's where we'll have to wrap up this origin story, folks. I hope you enjoyed this history lesson because I did my best. I also want to give a huge shout out to veteran Transformers voice actor Gary Chalk for taking time out of his day to lend his talent to the project. The guy's played a major part in my childhood and it was an honor working with him. If you've seen Transformers 2, you pretty much know what became of the Fallen. It's just unfortunate that most casual fans correlate him with the movies. But I'll give the comics credit, they did a good job of adding more layers to his character's complexity. He was simply a noble Prime who believed his actions would save his race, but ultimately became obsessed with power that led to his downfall. I really wish Michael Bay would have used this story so fans could understand him more, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. Anyways, what are your thoughts on the Fallen's origins? Did you agree with his motivations? Do you think the comics do him more justice? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future content. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on social media platforms like Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook. I love what I do and I do it all for you guys. Once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.